And right now, whether we like it or not, the oil and natural gas industry is expanding to tap into those natural resources. This here is, I know it's hard to see, but this gives you an idea. Everything that's colored there is an oil or natural gas reserve of some sort in North America. And it's only through recent technology that we're able to reach down this far into the earth and find these reserves. And there's different numbers floating out there, but it's in the trillions of barrels of oil. It's, there's numbers that float around anywhere from 10 years of oil up to a couple hundred years of oil. I think the truth is they're not really sure. All we know is that we have a lot of natural gas and oil reserves in our United States, and we can alleviate a lot of our need right here in the homeland. Because we all know we go to the gas pump and pay $4 a gallon or so for our gas. And that can either be gas or oil that is generated from a well in our United States, which goes right back to our people, or it can go to the Middle East. And I think there's probably a consensus of people that would say, yeah, we need to lessen our dependence on oil. We need to lessen our dependence on foreign oil. And that may be true, but we all know it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take a long time. And we need to have measures and stopgaps in between that will move us in that direction. And this is, we think, part of the solution. Okay, now, then the question is, what is proppant sand or frac sand? Well, the hydraulic fracturing process, as you can kind of see, that's a picture of an oil well on the top, and it shows a well going down to a layer of shale down deep in the earth. The hydraulic fracturing, they use high pressure proppant liquid to blow holes open, blow fissures and cracks and pores wide open down deep in the earth, and then the liquid petroleum runs to the path of least resistance, which is the well tip, and then the well is able to suction the oil out. Well, it's a two-step process in that sense, where the first step is to create the well, to blow the holes open, and then finally to pump the oil. Well, after they create the holes in the earth, there's such enormous pressure that those holes, when the drilling pumps are turned off, in other words, the fractures, the holes, they deflate and they close back in. And so they need what's called a proppant, something to hold it open. And so sand is the most natural, cheapest, most abundant resource that does the job for that, to act as that proppant and to keep those oil wells open. But sand is not the only proppant that can be used, and our friends over in China are working rapidly at that. There are ceramic beads, aluminum beads, and bauxite bead material, which are, some could say, very, very toxic. They're being used for proppant as well. They have very, very nice shape to them. They're very, very strong, and they do the job. But most of those synthetics, they are being imported from China. They're being made by Chinese manufacturers. And Tom, one of our consultants, handed me this, and you're all welcome to look at this later. This was manufactured by the Wanli Ceramic Corporation, and it's got some Chinese markings on it. So this is a sample of the proppant that's also being purchased. And it's very price competitive, and it's being used in these oil fracking wells. But nevertheless, sand is still the most consistent and the best product to be used in these wells, and for a variety of reasons: for cost, for environmental sensitivity, and just for bang for the buck. They do the job in the least expensive way. Okay, then frac sand, proppant sand. What is so special about our sand? Why can't we get the sand from the Marshfield area? Why can't we get the sand from Texas? There's lots of sand everywhere. The sand that's found specifically in the western Wisconsin and eastern Minnesota region, one, as John said, its relative layer is called, there's several layers of sandstone, but it's sandstone that and it's soft sandstone. The layer that is in Franklin Township area is called the Waniwak layer. There's also the Jordan layer. They all have names for the different layers, but this layer is about 50 to 100 feet thick, and it's a very pure quartz silica sand, for one. The grains, you've probably seen them. You know, some grains are so small you can't even see them with your natural eye. You've probably seen your sand on your property. They're big grains. They're almost like table salt, and in some cases, almost like rock salt. As you can see kind of from this picture under the microscope, they're very round, they're very hard, and they have a very high compressive strength. That way when they go into the earth and they get crushed, they don't break down and crush. And the idea there is if you can take that to the macro scale, pretend that those are river boulders. You can see that there's a lot of air gaps in between the river boulders. Well, that's so that oil, the more round it is, the more air gaps that there are. So the oil, the petroleum can flow freely between the sand and be the path of least resistance and make it to the pumping pipe. And so again, where is it found? It's found right here in western and central Wisconsin and eastern Minnesota. And our Coulee region contains one of the very best proppant sand deposits in the whole continent. And it's being sought after, in fact, worldwide. It's being sought after as a worldwide export. Here's a map of Jackson County, and you can see Franklin Township down here. What this represents, this comes from the Wisconsin Geologic Survey map. It was created about 30 years ago. Once upon a time, this region was mapped for all of its rock and mineral formations. The reddish area is that Waniwak pancake layer, that sandstone formation. The greenish, if I recall, is the Jordanian layer, Tunnel City layer, which is right over top of it. And then there's a small bit of yellow, but I think what I'm pointing out is the areas of reddish, which essentially engulf all of Franklin Township, is that sandstone layer. And we've identified our property, the Coulee Frac sand property in red, but now you can see that essentially the entire township has this Waniwak layer. It's 50 to 100 feet thick, practically on every property in this township. That's what I have for now. As you write down your questions, just raise your hand. I'll come around during the presentation and start picking the questions up.
Ready, John? My name is Tom Gopinski. I work for Summit Enviro Solutions. We are the paid consultant for Coulee Frac sand. John Dustman will be helping me with this presentation. What I wanted to talk to you today about is the conceptual mine plan and the NR 135 permitting process that goes into Gaylord at Jackson County that kind of follows the Wisconsin code as we move this through the permitting process. And a lot of the concepts of how the mine's going to work, how it's going to look, why it's here, some of the things that John and Greg talked to in generalities. I'll show you pictures that are a little bit more specific. I want to get through this quickly. I want to generate some questions, and if I go too quick, write it down. I'll be happy to go back and cover it again. But we'll just take advantage of the display and go from there. So here's the site. This is the property that we're talking about. Here's another picture of it from an current air photograph. Got a little bluff and rolliness to it that you're all familiar with. Those bluffs are great in the summertime for a walk. They're probably not as much fun in the winter when the ice is a little snow covered on the road. Here's a picture of the same property from